Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about testing. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, why is it that a career in software testing is so looked down upon by software developers? Because a monkey could do it. Well, at least that's what the most of us think. Uh, that is the brutal truth. Software testing, depending on the quality of the tester, can literally be done by anybody. And the only reason you have software testers is usually because you either have an application that is so complicated that you can't really automate it in an efficient way, or because you have management decisions where you usually allocate, like you look at testers. I mean, even flat off the bat, a lot of companies will hire testers to save on development velocity. Like, in other words, the idea, and this is so bad, it leads to so bad, many bad things will happen if you do this. But the idea is, oh, testers should test, software developers should code. The problem is that that actually makes everything go much slower, because you're breeding into the office environment that the coders, well, they should just write the stuff, right, and then send it over the wall, and then what? Wait or work on something else, and all of a sudden you're working on multiple things at the same time, and the feedback cycle is horrible, and then the tester brings it back and says, hey, you need to fix these things here, and then you have to switch again, because that's something that all developers hate, context switching. It's as inevitable, unfortunately, as scope creep, but it's there. So that's definitely something. But in essence, that is the reason why most people look down on QAs and testers and so forth. And I mean, we can't. Let's not pretend that the value of the person to the company is equal, because it is not. Producing the code is, even if it's buggy, even if it's not that good or so forth, is more valuable to the company than verifying the code. Simply put, and that is only because without the coder, if you have to remove one person from your budget, it's very obvious that removing the tester is going to be more useful to you than removing the coder. But what I don't like about this is that there is this very human thing that happens very often, and that is that we don't appreciate a person for the role that they are playing within the whole. And I don't really like that. An example, I mean, if you take the medical industry as well, I mean, I have friends who work as nurses who sometimes tell me that, oh yeah, the doctors, they treat us like shit and so forth because they think that they're so good. And I kind of go, that's kind of weird, because I mean, the doctor is very useful, but I mean, most of the interactions, like all the tests and everything that I have to go through as the patient, yeah, well, that's you. The doctor is usually involved in maybe one or two sessions, and then the rest is done by nurses. And without the nurses, this hospital will collapse. It would be, there's no reason to show up there, because I mean, it's the whole thing will collapse. And the same, I have similar sorts of situations with the coworkers I have with user relationship. Literally, if they are not there, like, they're viewed as this formality that we have to have, because I mean, taking care of customer issues and so forth, that's not a big deal, right? But at the same time, without them, we lose the customers. And we really are so good at, I mean, figuring out what the most important part is, and then something happens. And I think that is really the human ego right there. You identify yourself as a more important part of a system, and because you are the more important part, you all of a sudden start treating the other parts that are less critical to the system as pointless or meaningless, or like something below you. Yet you depend on that part in order to make the thing work. We don't even have to do it with software testing. We can talk about designers versus engineers. That battle is super fun to have, like, who's more valuable. We can fight about that forever. Front end versus back end developers, we can fight there as well. Who is the most valuable? And I always come back to the same fucking solution, or the same answer, which is, if you're going to sell a car, you still need you need the engine, the wheels, and the body. You need all this shit. Nobody's gonna buy it without having all of these parts in place. And at some point, I'd like just to arrive to at the destination. Maybe, just maybe, if someone is filling a function, we can appreciate that that person has made life choices that make them feel comfortable and happy about those choices, and like that role that they are fulfilling is something they actually want. This is as far as they want to go, or this is the thing that they actually want, because they're, and then at the same time understand that if they did actually desire to be more than that, or they for some reason had an opportunity to be more, where if and so forth, they would be more. It's like saying that, you're garbage because you weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Because, I mean, statistically, you are more likely to go further in life if you have more money to start off with than you are if you don't have as much money. That doesn't mean that if you gave people who were of a lower class, or with a lower who were born into a poorer home, if you gave them enough money, you might actually see that they will go even farther than most of the people who have all these things served. Or maybe not. People are different, and I think that it's better for us to think in terms of, all right, these are the choices that this person has made, and they seem to be happy about that, and they are filling a value, they're filling a function. Let's just respect their choices and understand that given the right circumstances, they would probably be able to do whatever the fuck you are doing as well. Because you're not that special, usually, when you're looking. People who look down on people are usually forgetting that you got there somehow too. And if we recreate sort of those circumstances, which is not so fun for the ego, you start to realize that you're not so special after all. You did a great job getting to where you are, but there's many people, on average, that could go through the same thing and kind of do the thing that you're doing. But the ego doesn't like to hear that, so we try to block that out. So, what I want you to take away from this is that I'm very sorry to say that the reason why people look down on software testing is because a monkey could do it. And in many cases that is very sort of true, because there are many levels of QA work, there are many things that you could be doing that are more advanced, but at the very bottom level, if you're really only clicking through things, and in some cases that is the thing that you are doing, it is not that challenge. It is a challenge, but it is not at the same challenge levels that some other people might be working. And so those people will of course look, in some cases, look at what you're doing as, oh, this is this simple thing that I could do immediately. And in some cases, if it's software developers versus testers, they will be able to do that. But I think that you should remember that you could be a software developer if you wanted to. You're a QA for a reason. And what is that reason? Well, maybe because you realize that we software developers are sorry fucks that needs to work our asses off to be underpaid and continuously learn and be stressed that we're going to fall behind, and focus so much on trying to be as good as possible at this thing that, well, you kind of didn't want that noise. You would just like to, get paid to do this thing and then, I don't know, play music in your spare time or whatever. These are your choices, and I promise you, given the right circumstances, you can also be a software developer. And the reason why the elitist software developers may not see that is because they want to feel as if they're better than somebody else. They need this. And if they give you that sort of attitude, try to remember this. A car is useless unless you have all the parts that are expected by the customer. Have a great day.